Hey guys, we're going to go through a PowerPoint tonight to help those who are new to crypto, beginning in crypto. Maybe you've been in a little bit and you've got some questions. And we're going to watch a little bit of a video first, and then we're going to hit our PowerPoint. So we are also aiming to do on this channel. So there's some other awesome channels out there. I would say do your own research and get as much information as you can. Excuse me, this opportunity is such a not a small window because some of us have been in it for like 5 years. He was in it 6 years, 8 or even 12. Um, there's just so many good people that you can follow on YouTube and learn so much from. Just depends on your learning curve. I help a lot of either older people or people whose family members just tell them, hey, you need to get into this, and they just have no idea what they're talking about, and they just need the basics. So we're just going to run through it. And I'd first like to say that I am not a financial advisor, and I don't work for any of the companies we're going to talk about, Ripple, Stellar, Fintech, any Fintech company. We're just sharing what we've learned in this space from public information, personal experience, and trying to offer that to everybody else so that they can know that the global financial markets are changing. Now, you'll hear this term ISO 20022 all over the internet, and a lot of people say, I just don't understand what that is. So we are going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about financial institutions. Which digital assets should you consider investing in? What's happening with our banks? Are they currently using XRP and XLM? And what does the WEF and BIS and IMF and all those big government agencies, what do they say about XRP and XLM? We'll look at that too. Will everything eventually be tokenized? And we're going to look at different blockchains as well. I will also be putting a copy of this PDF in the description so that you can have it for yourself. And you can also have these links that you can click on and pull these articles up for yourself and do your own research. So you don't have to be a cryptocurrency believer to think that the underlying technologies of cryptocurrencies are going to change the financial sector. I mean, it's happening right now. So we're going to look at what's happening with the banks, what's happening with retailers, their deadlines, what they're required to do, different payment rails, what's changing, why do we care? Maybe us ladies, we just swipe our Visa. We don't really care how it goes from point A to point B, but we should. So that's something we're going to look at. It's kind of like being in the .com bubble with Amazon and Google and Apple and getting the right stocks at the right time. That's about the only thing I can liken it to. What we're witnessing here is nothing less than the death of capitalism and the birth of something new. That's Matty Greenspan, the founder of analysis and advisory firm Quantum Economics. It's quite fascinating, really. Now, we are going to look at the digital dollar and the Federal Reserve banks, and also some different countries around the world who are actually creating their own new currency, some of them with QR codes on their dollars, but they're backed by commodities of that country. So that's kind of where things are going. Zimbabwe is a good example, and they recently introduced a new gold-backed currency called the ZiG. Everything basically, even the dollar of each country, is going to have a tokenization, which is just a digital representation of a physical thing. So when you hear people saying that everything is going to be tokenized, that means real estate, stocks, bonds, derivatives. Um, right now, you can even buy silver and gold on different platforms like Wisdom Tree. You're going to have everything tokenized. Anything, water, wine, computers, whatever you buy, it's going to be on the blockchain. So our money is going to change as well. I'm not going to get too much into Basel III and Basel IV and Bretton Woods 3. The biggest news that you want to pay attention to is in the metals market with gold and silver. Gold is actually moving from a tier 3 asset to a tier 1 asset. So that's already happened. You're also seeing most, if not all, the states by this point not taxing their gold and silver because it is currency. It is the currency of the Constitution. So it's something that you need to look into because now the banks are actually required to hold more assets for the digits that they're lending out. Another thing you might want to look at on your own, because there's so many rabbit holes in the financial sector, would be BRICS. And all of the things that we're going to go over in this overview tonight, we're going to go over in detail in future videos. This is just going to kind of give you a start and some of the terminology and kind of just get you used to the space and what's actually happening. So this is the article where the state of Nebraska ended income taxes on gold and silver. There are several articles on many different states that have done the same thing. And you're going to hear a lot of JP Morgan mentioned in the space of cryptocurrency. And if you know how big they are, there's just different articles that you can look up, even if you just type in tokenization and JP Morgan Chase or BlackRock, you'll get a lot of fascinating news. Just to kind of tell you how to look these up, just put in some of those trigger words like tokenization or put in Citibank with ISO 20022, and you'll be surprised at what pops up. This news is actually everywhere. You just have to know kind of where to look for it. So when you hear something like the quantum financial system, like what is that? It's basically designed and ready to convert all bank accounts denominated in any fiat currency anywhere in the world into a local asset-backed currency. This is where we get into a little bit more of the technical side, which we're going to gloss over, which is called distributed ledger technology. And that is where basically everything moves really, really fast, and hundreds of thousands of transactions can be done in a single second. So here we go. The ISO 20022, what is it? It is a universal financial industry messaging scheme. So it's a messaging system. It applies to the entire spectrum of payments, including ACH, domestically, real-time, high-value cross-border payments. So what you're seeing around the world is that we're going from the old SWIFT system, if you've heard of SWIFT, and we're moving over to an ISO standard. So this is going to break that down a little bit more for you. That while the European financial businesses well understand ISO 20022 for quite some time through the initiatives of SEPA and SWIFT, the registration authority of ISO 20022 North American banks are still getting to know the new language. These institutions have been working closely with its community to help secure the consensus on how the new standard can be used in the context of financial payments and reporting. Given that the payments industry is literally evolving in light of digital technologies, the change is also being driven by real-time transaction and banking initiatives like open banking, instant payments, real-time gross settlements, and even cryptocurrencies and distributed ledger technologies. Each new development pushes the boundaries for traditional banks and market infrastructures, and the reality is that the move will lead to a common international standard for all financial data exchange and communications. That's the crux of all of this language that seems to be a little bit over our heads. It is basically a standardization, and that's kind of a friendly way of saying mandatory. So if you're a retailer or an institution or a bank, you're basically being migrated over to this system, and that's the new system. That's kind of the way it is. And this is for all financial data exchange and communications. So we're talking about moving money, moving even contracts and information. So when we say everything will be on the blockchain, it's pretty much everything. You'll be transacting and using the blockchain for everyday transactions, purchases, but it's a standardization. So it's what they are implementing globally. So what does this mean for banks? Well, banks have been working on this change for many years, and there's a lot of technical side to this ISO that you can kind of look into on your own if that interests you. Most people just want the crux of what it is. Like, what does this mean? Well, it's a world standard that basically all financial institutions all over the world need to adopt. So the creation behind this standard is an organization that basically developed a message between a financial institution. So let's say that you have different coding and languages. So you've got one bank sending a bunch of money to another bank, and they need this instant settlement system. So this is like a messaging format in those languages so that we don't have to get too technical. Major currencies will be operating with ISO before 2025, and they have been. There are deadlines this year of November of this year and then November of next year for banks having to basically have everything ready to go. So there's a lot of beta testing that's going on right now. Now, when we talk about cryptocurrencies, digital assets, what should we invest in? Again, I can't tell you what to invest in. I can tell you what I would do or what I would recommend looking into. And this is the assets that are working with the ISO 2022 standard. So the ones that are being adopted by the big, World Economic Forum, Bank of International Settlement, International Monetary Fund, all of that are basically Ripple and Stellar. Ripple is the company. XRP would be your token or your cryptocurrency. Stellar Looms or Stellar would be the company, and XLM would be their token. So you can go to their websites and do some research and see who they're partnered with. Ripple is partnered with basically everybody: Google, Apple, IBM, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. I mean, the list it's ridiculous. I don't know who they're not partnered with. Stellar, when you go to their website, they're a little bit more into the people side of things. Like they're wanting to bank the unbanked. So you'll see a lot of the third world countries on their site. So if you say, well, how is this going to work if all these people in Africa don't have a phone, they don't have a wallet, how is this going to happen? They can bank the unbanked now, someone who does not have a bank account, in less than 2 minutes. And I think they're handing out free cell phones right now. So this is something that has been going on and continues to go on. So I would definitely write these down, which is XRP, XLM, XDC, IOTA, ALGO, HBAR, Quant or QNT, and ADA, which is Cardano. Those are the ones I would definitely research. And when you go to their websites, just like Hedera, Hashgraph, go to the top of the website and click on Governing Council and see who they're working with. You'll see Google, IBM, Dell, LG. They're all massive companies that are working with these companies that are making these cryptocurrencies. So the three big ones that people focus on, if they say, well, I just have a little bit of money, I want to put it in, what should I get? If you're talking to a family member, say, well, what I would do would be these three. So your XRP, XLM, and XDC are kind of what we call the 3 X's. There are a lot of articles too about the IMF, so your International Monetary Fund, several articles. So you can just, like I said, just type in some search words, type in Ripple or XRP and then the IMF or the BIS and just see what you can find. The fact that the IMF is talking about XRP and XLM is pretty crazy, but they really have been. And you can go to some of these World Bank documents where they mention those two, XRP and XLM, specifically as pretty much being the chosen cryptocurrencies that will be used in institutions going forward. Now, if you know who Rosa Rios is, her name is probably on some of the money that's in your pocket right now. She was the 43rd Treasurer of the United States. Now, she left her position. I don't know if you know what it takes to get a job at the US Treasury, but she left to go work for Ripple. That's the company that made XRP. And her quote was that she said she's going to work for the future of money. That's a pretty big deal. So if you look at how Ripple started, you'll see people from the Federal Reserve coming over to Ripple or the US Treasury and then vice versa. Some people leave the Ripple to go to the Federal Reserve. And there's just a lot of interesting things going on with the staff if you want to dig into that rabbit hole. The World Bank document that I was just referring to actually says, it's on page 31, this paper refers to a class of digital currencies or stable coins. And it says two digital currencies that fall into this category of stablecoins are RippleNet's native digital currency Ripple XRP and Stellar's network native cryptocurrency Stellar Looms XLM. So if you were only going to look at two tokens to get, are they under 10 bucks? Are they under $5 right now? Right, yes. So you're still in less than 1% of the world who's even looking at blockchain technology or cryptocurrencies, let alone the correct ones, the ones that are going to be used by everybody. It's kind of like getting in on a pre-IPO of a stock. JP Morgan Chase has been working on their ISO 20022 compliance for a very long time. I think the oldest document I found was 2008. This one's from 2009. So I'm just kind of showing you that those are out there. You can find a lot of older, this has taken years to build, so you can find a lot of older articles. Ripple's bank partners, it's so much longer than this. This list was actually made probably over a year ago. Their partners are just exponential, but all over the world. So they would go to a country and they would go to their biggest central bank, and that's who they'd go to first. So they've been working, and these banks all over the world have been using XRP for years now. We just can't get the United States there because it was kind of held up as a stall tactic, I believe. But the SEC lawsuit that is going on now is just about over, so that's good. Ripple's partners, there's many, and here's just a few. You can go on their website, and this is going to talk about the SEC lawsuit a little bit. They did purchase 49% of Uphold. Uphold is an exchange. So when you're talking about cryptocurrency, you're going to hear these words and terms, and it's just a lot to take in. But your exchange is like the bank. That's where you go to get your cryptocurrency. And then many times after we would go to an exchange like Uphold or Coinbase, then we would put it in a wallet. You could use Exodus or MetaMask or Trust or Descent, several app wallets. And then there's the actual hard devices that you can buy for further security. All those different steps and all those security names and all those things that you need to remember make it really kind of messy. So I just personally recommend Caleb and Brown because it's like a one-stop shop. So we don't have to go all these places anymore. We can wire money in, we can store it there, and it's just like having your cold storage. It's secure. You can buy it there, you can trade it, you can off-ramp it easily. So most of my clients have moved over there. We prefer it. It seems to be easier than keeping track of all these devices and apps and what we call seed phrases, which are like security codes. That's where people just shake their head and say, this is too much, I can't take it. So we have found a website that has simplified the entire process, which is Caleb and Brown. And if you want to check that out, I'll put that link below too. We'll do a separate show on just Caleb and Brown, and we're actually going to interview with some of the employees of that company in a couple weeks. So there's some more articles here on XRP. There's so much information out there on XRP that if you just want to study one token at a time, I would recommend starting with that one. You'll see they're partners with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, um, BlackRock, JP Morgan Chase. So if you kind of just look at their partners, you can see that, wow, this is pretty much taking over the financial sector. You can also go to Swift's website and you can also type in ISO 20022. Just go to their website and see what they're talking about. Read some of the articles. The other one I would say to look into would be XLM Stellar. And we're just going to kind of go over these briefly. I mainly just wanted to introduce this PowerPoint to you tonight and leave it in the link so that you can pull it up yourself, because it's a lot to go into. And I would first research XRP and then I would move over to XLM. And that's a lot right there. But just even seeing, like, there's Goldman Sachs, and we hope that the CFTC will replace the SEC. That is something that that's the Commodity Future Trading Commission. So these are things that we're kind of watching unfold right now with Elon Musk and Doge and everything that's going on, kind of taking these three-letter agencies apart. I do like that it's a nonprofit status. That's kind of why I put this in here. It says all of the ownership, and this is talking about Stellar, is public and transparent. So that's the difference. These are all decentralized. It's moving away from the central banking system. And these tokens are decentralized and they have decentralized DEX that you can go to and look up all these cryptocurrencies. It's just a different way to invest where you're kind of free from what we've all been stuck in for years with the central banks. The only reason I put these couple slides in here is because when Swift itself as a company has an event and their entire focus and their entire theme is about ISO 20022, you kind of feel like Burger King invited McDonald's to their annual gala. Like, this makes no sense. Isn't that your competitor? So here you have Swift bringing in ISO 20022. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but that's what's happening. Now, one of the biggest things for people that are they're used to like their normal financial advisor and that normal world that you could say is normal. It really isn't. It's just what we've been trained to believe. But Franklin Templeton, that's a company most people know about. They have tokenized their assets on Stellar. I believe it's their money market funds through Benji would be their app. So when you start to see these big names coming over from the financial sector, that's quite a big deal. And yeah, that was November of 2023. There have been different deadlines for the banks. Like I said, there's another one this November 2025. There's one, the final one seems to be next November 2026 from what it looks like. And then XTC would be the third one I would look into. The nickname of this one is kind of a bridge coin where it bridges blockchains together. So when you think of a blockchain and you think that XRP has a blockchain, XLM has a blockchain, XDC has a blockchain, these are all interoperable. They work together. So they're kind of talking about XDC as a bridge to bring in off-chain and on-chain payment rails. And that's where it just gets a little more technical. So you can look up and do your own research on XDC. We're just kind of pointing out what the top three are. Now, this ISO 2002 standard is going to cover payments, which means what? Credit cards, debit cards is for central banks, clearinghouses, ACHs, financial institutions, private customers, and corporations. That's pretty much all payments. Securities, derivatives, foreign exchange, cards and retail. That's pretty much the whole financial world right there. Bonds, like we said, stocks, bonds, derivatives, everything. That was just one of the deadlines. Now this has been moved. So this one does say March 10th, but they just moved it to July. So we need to update that slide. You are seeing different companies come in and merge with like your MasterCard and Visa. Immersive, I did try to get a hold of them to get one of these, and it's in other countries. It's not here yet. It's funny that the US is kind of last with all of this, but you are going to see basically digital credit card payments. And like Apple Pay, they're already using XRP. So it's an instant settlement. It's a click. Now, IBM is linked with Stellar in many ways. So you can look into that on your own, but just look at the different companies that they have acquired. It's pretty interesting. Red Hat, I think, was one of their biggest ones, but IBM is something I would definitely take a look at. It said that when IBM was researching which network to build their distributed ledger technology products on, they considered Bitcoin, Ripple, and Stellar. So this was an interesting article to me because it's kind of comparing the three. Now, Bitcoin would have been a non-starter. One, it's primarily mined in China. Our clients are not there, and I'll just leave it there. That was what IBM said. Ripple XRP, from an ownership standpoint, is opaque. While we have done work with Ripple and will continue to do so, we did not know how we could go without having an asset that is transparent. So IBM ended up settling and selecting Stellar for 5 reasons. Its nonprofit status, its scalability, its team, its token ownership and transparency, and the ability to support any asset type. So while the whole crypto network is talking about XRP and Ripple, don't underestimate Stellar and XLM. Definitely take a look at what I would call the dark horse that maybe isn't being talked about so much. And this is going to go more into IBM's relationship with them. Uphold this is the way we kind of used to do it as an exchange. And it's a good one. Their fees have gone up. So if you look at Uphold fees and compare it to Caleb and Brown, Uphold is like 3.99% for a transaction plus the spread. One of them I just did was like 2.34. So you add that together, and that's a hefty fee. Caleb and Brown has one flat fee, no hidden fees, no deposit or withdrawal fees, no hidden broker fees. It's just 3.5% on your trades. So that's where we've kind of landed with that. So I will put a link below, and we will definitely be doing some videos on the Caleb and Brown wallet. But I just wanted to give you an overview. I wanted to put this below and just kind of get you started in thinking and know which tokens to look at, which wallet to open. So if you want to just simplify this product, this whole digital asset space, and just understand that you can do it. It's not hard. You can open an account on Caleb and Brown, wire some money in. Either you can do your trades or you can ask your broker to do them for you. And then you store them there and you wait and you hold your assets. It's much easier than you think. So don't let this all overwhelm you. This just kind of gives you an idea of where to start. And we will be talking more in the future. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.